for someone, maybe for a mother or a mother-in-law, it doesn't make sense that the daughter is out working 14 hours a day, right? Like there is so much more to life for them. And so I don't think that anyone comes from a wrong perspective or a bad perspective.
When you're scaling at this pace and you got funded, how do you maintain the quality of the HUFT products?
As we're scaling, I'm hoping that we're able to bring even more R&D and even more innovation and even more quality control and stricter measures and raise the bar as high as possible, so that we can do justice to why we began in the first place.
Can I dare to say you're a bit of a nerd?
Oh, of course.
So, in your interview with Live Mint, you said that working amongst 1,000 people, you're not really making a change. And I know when the entrepreneurial bug bites somebody, there's no looking back. So, please share a bit about the moment when you felt that, okay, this is what you were meant to do.
Thank you so much for having me here, first of all, Medha. I think when I look back, I have always been an entrepreneur. I think since I was 5, I used to sit and paint cards and go home to sell them to raise money for animal charities. And I had lots of little businesses. Like I had a library when I was in school, and I'd rent out a book for 1 rupee a week and all sorts of things. So I think ever since I was little, I have always had that entrepreneurial spirit within me, and I have always loved animals. And I think that just getting a chance to bring those two things together, it has been really very special. And I never really quite imagined that it would come together like that. And for me personally, it was my story of starting Heads Up for Tails as an entrepreneur began when a little puppy came into my life. Her name was Sarah, and I didn't find anything of quality for her. So I started to think about what it would mean for me to start something and build something for this very special family member. And I was very sure that other pet parents would want good quality products for their pets to live the best life they could. And that's really the spark, where the spark for Heads Up for Tails came from, and this entrepreneurial venture started from there.
I think it's very interesting now that you say that you've been an entrepreneur since a very young age. It's fantastic. So now that you are entering this new market, I'm quoting you that you said there are no vendors, there are no suppliers, people don't understand this business. Some people thought it was baby products. So whenever there's a business which is so new, and you were entering a very niche market, what are the pros and cons, starting with the pros, of entering a market like this and then building a very fresh and new brand?
There are a few pros. I think for me, I would say the pros are that people are excited about what you're doing. They have, there is a little bit of that novelty of idea. They haven't seen it before. They're curious about it. They're willing to try. At least some people are. And I think that the second one, even though seemingly it seems difficult, but the fact that there is no other path to follow makes you build your own path. Now that takes much longer and it's much harder because there's literally no one's path that you can walk on. But I do think that that is a pro because you do things differently, you do them in a very fresh manner, you think outside the box, you try to do a lot with less, right? And you just find your own way. When it comes to cons, definitely many, right? Some of what I just said takes a really, really long time. You have to stumble and fall and fail and figure out what's working, what's not. You're the person also in charge of, or whether you're the company or person in charge of educating the market, educating the customer. And we spend so much time and energy and resources doing that, right? Building the awareness, building out the market. And I do believe that it's made things a lot easier for all of those new people who are coming into the business, right? We've created that awareness and help people understand why do they need so many of these products. A lot of what we built were India first, right? So there was no one searching for them, there was no awareness, no one was typing, looking online for them, right? And we've spent a long time building that up, building out the supply chain, building out the front end, the back end, the product, visualizing those journeys. And so I think it's just really, the cons are the time, the energy. You're really the company or the brand responsible for developing the market, developing the customer.
Yes.
And while that's not necessarily a con per se, but it does take a lot of time.
Time, energy, effort.
Yes, absolutely.
I'm sure it, patience, perseverance.
Yes.
All of those qualities.
Things.
So for an entrepreneur, I think one of the main goals is having a sustainable business model.
Yeah.
This is where a lot of founders kind of slip, or they spend years building that, especially when they have a very new product and a new market. How did you strike the unit economics, and how did you build and scale slowly?
We took a long time to get our foundation right. We were building these products, taking them to market, understanding people's reactions. Was it helping them? Was it not? We spent a lot of time talking to our customers, understanding pain points. What is the problem that they're trying to solve? What does that relationship look like? And not necessarily are people going to give you the answer in the form of, hey, here's what I need for my pet, right? They'll give you answers to say, my dog is growing older, they can't get up from their bed, or okay, my spaniel's ears are going into his bowl when he eats, things like that, right? And then you take those to the drawing board and say, okay, how can I solve for this? And so because we were solving real problems, we found that the product market fit was good, it was fast, and then one at a time we were able to sort of build that foundation. Also, failing fast has been an important part of my journey. So if something wasn't working, I would also get that feedback very quickly and say, okay, this is not working, right? And then you come to a point where when you feel like you have developed a strong enough base, and now you're confident that you want to scale this particular model. So even when it was with our stores, with the products that we were launching, the experience we wanted to create, we tried little by little, one thing at a time. And then once you're confident, then you say, okay, now I know what I need to do, and I just need to replicate this to a particular level.
So I'm amazed at how very few entrepreneurs speak about failures, and I think there's a perception with failure.
Right.
So and I've seen in all your interviews you've spoken so freely about rejections and learning from them and then moving on. I think that's been a big part of building, this brand, which is so, for us, like now that when we see it, we feel it's so perfect for our babies. Please share how did you develop this mindset for failure, and how, for our viewers, like how important is failure for an entrepreneur?
It's not everybody's favorite word, I know that, right? But for me, I think the journey has been very, very, very challenging. I really feel like it's been a very steep uphill climb, and I have stumbled many times. And I think that in that process, I have learned that people normally view it as opposites, right? You're successful here, you're failing there. But I don't think it's like that. I feel like when I think about anywhere that I may have reached, it's happened as a result of failing multiple times. And I don't think that these two things are at opposite ends of the spectrum. I do think that they're the same end. You fail, you learn, you grow, and eventually you succeed, right? So I think that we need to redefine that whole definition, and only when you look back can you see why you failed at a particular point. You reflect on that, you learn from that, and then when you join those dots, you realize that there is a reason why it had to happen this way, right? So I just feel that it's all part of the journey, and we need to embrace it, and we need to enjoy the lows and the highs.
Yes.
And knowing that, it's that wave, eventually it'll get us to our destination, but it goes like that. So yeah.
And from what this sounds like in retrospect, things seem fine.
Yes, they make a lot more sense. But when you're going through a low, you don't know why you're going through it, right? And I think that you're just actually going through it to learn something new, and when you do, then that low goes away, and you're able to move on to the next high, and then perhaps to a next low.
That's very positive. I think a lot of entrepreneurs would love to hear that. Now, when you're scaling at this pace, and you got funded and you started off as a homegrown brand, how do you maintain the quality of the HUFT products? Because from what I've seen, the quality's just gone up.
I think that for us, actually for any company, the product is really at the heart of it all. Right? I can have a great brand, and I could do some great marketing or tell amazing stories, but at the end of the day, if I don't have a good product, I can't get my customers back. And so I think that's really the product design, the quality, the aesthetics, the design thinking to arrive at how soft should something be, how should it fit the pet, can they walk around in it, all of those things. That's very, very important to us, because we started out to better their lives, right, through products primarily, and then we went into services, and realized that we need to build education and so much more. But it was really through products that we started. And so as we're scaling, I'm hoping that we're able to bring even more R&D and even more innovation and even more quality control and stricter measures, and raise the bar as high as possible, so that we can do justice to why we began in the first place.
Absolutely. While you're speaking, I'm remembering that there are these socks that you get at HUFT.
Right.
And my dog, I have a beagle.
Okay.
So he used to consistently get those rashes. Their skin is super sensitive. And those socks have probably saved him years of itching and pain, and we were so surprised seeing that product here.
Right.
We were like, wow, this is finally available here.
I'm so glad.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm so happy.
So, no, I mean, I think, so now moving on to your personal life.
Yeah.
I think in India, everybody wonders, how do entrepreneurs function? How do they manage so much? And then they see a woman, and then they see a mom. I think everybody would really want to know, how is it that you're balancing all these roles all together?
Sure. I spent a long time trying to define balance. And then I finally gave up, and I realized that I don't think it exists. I really don't think that there is a perfect work-life balance if you are extremely ambitious and you also want to be the best version of a mom and a wife and a daughter and a friend, right? And we all do.
Yes.
I think that I've stopped looking for it, because it always made me feel like I wasn't being able to get it enough. I was always falling short. And I've just realized that on some days I have to prioritize work, and on some days I have to prioritize any of the relationships that are special to me. If my daughter is unwell, that's priority.
Yes.
And there are some days when there are two priorities, right? Maybe she's unwell and I have something really important at work, and most days you do feel stretched. Most days you do feel like there aren't enough hours. Many times you have, I at least for years had like guilt, because I was like, my daughter's growing up. But I think that you just stay grounded, stay true to all that your heart is calling out to you to do, and I just take it one day at a time.
Yes, I think that makes a lot of sense. But I want to ask, what about the mom guilt? Now that you mention it.
Yes, it is a very real thing. And it weighs a lot. It really kind of, pulls you down if you let it. And but about a year and a half
even
ago,
your business is your baby.
It is, absolutely.
Yes.
And so if I'm not giving enough here as well, there's always like two things pulling at you. But I think that about a year and a half ago, I consciously decided not to carry the guilt, and I was like,
Nice.
I'm not going to carry this anymore, because
Lovely.
it takes a lot, right? It takes a lot of energy out of you. It
Yes.
takes, it just leaves you feeling not so great. And I think that if we are taking the choice, it is a choice to carry it, even though we don't think that it is a choice, but it is a choice. I decided to choose not to carry it, and I feel so much better, and I feel like I'm much more present when I'm at home with my family, and I'm much more present when I'm at work, versus always when I was at work I'm thinking about home, when I'm at home I'm thinking about work, right? So I think that we can make these choices. We have a lot of power, and we shouldn't give it away.
Fantastic. That's very inspiring, Rashi. I want to ask about, the environment in India, I feel, is changing when it comes to women entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
You started your company, then your husband left his job and joined you.
Yeah.
There are other examples too. I want to know a little more about what do you feel about the entrepreneurial environment in India?
I think there has never been a better time than now. I'm so happy to see how the ecosystem has developed. You have so many opportunities, you have people waiting to fund you, you have mentors to guide you, you have companies to help you through that whole system. And I think that really now is the time, right? We as women, we have owned a lot of our power, we have owned our abilities, our talents, and why not share them with the world? And definitely the
100%.
journey is not easy, right? It takes a lot, but then that's okay, right? Eventually, I really do believe that all of us have a magic, and we must be able to bring it to the world in our own ways.
Absolutely.
And whatever that takes, and whatever you can do, you don't have to go to extremes, and sometimes you just walk the middle path. I remember when I had Samara, and those 2-3 years, I really did have to calibrate my ambition. I had to temper it down, and that's okay, right? For working moms, or if we take a break. But I think that little by little, every day, if we can bring our best selves and offer it to the world with our ideas, if we can be financially independent, if we can be learning, if we can be growing, if we can be contributing in any way, right, big or small, doesn't matter. It just goes a long way for us, for our independence, for our self-confidence, for our lives, that we were able to do something that made us happy or bring us joy, and for the economy and for the world at large.
I think it's so nice. I feel like the work aspect also adds a lot of meaning into a woman's life.
It does.
I think people have started realizing that now.
Yes, for sure.
So my next question to you is, being a woman entrepreneur, now how important is family support? Because we all have our mothers, and they're always worried about our marriages and the age, the clock.
Yes.
Of
course.
So even Indra Nui has spoken about it, but Jacinda Ardern, I think she changed, a lot of perceptions in her speech. So I want to know, how important has family been in your entrepreneurial journey, and how have they supported you?
I think if family is important to you, and you care about how they're feeling, and you care about their opinions, then it's extremely important. And if you don't, then it's just several more people expressing their opinion. So it just depends on who you are and where you are on that journey. For me, family is very important, and I am very grateful to have gotten their support. And my parents have played a very big role in helping me out while Samara was growing up, and when I was on trips, and when I've been traveling, or if I've had long days, for me to be able to drop her off, it's been a massive support, and I don't think I could have done it without them.
That's I think a lot of I feel now a lot of women are just stepping out despite any different opinions in their houses.
Yeah, and look, there will be different opinions, because no one else can feel how we're feeling, right? Like
Yes.
you can't really quite, I mean, for someone, maybe for a mother or a mother-in-law, it doesn't make sense that the daughter is out working 14 hours a day, right?
Yes.
Like there is so much more to life
Yes.
for them. And so I don't think that anyone comes from a wrong perspective or a bad perspective,
Yes.
right? But you just have to pick what is calling out to you, and you know what you need to do. And yeah, as long as you're able to figure it out, and as long as it brings you joy
Yes.
and happiness, then pursue it with your whole heart, despite all the challenges that come in the way.
Amen to that. Now, being successful is not just about being in the right place at the right time, but also about being surrounded by the right people.
Yes.
I want to understand how did you choose the right investors?
Okay.
You and your entire team. Like, how did you know that okay, this investor, this investment fund, is the right choice for me and my company?
Right. There are lots of people who will give you money, and the color of the money is the same, right? And I think that it came down to us feeling like who is the right partner for us in terms of value system, in terms of expertise that they may bring, in terms of opportunities that they may help us, have access to. And really, above everything else, it was just the value system of the partner, right? This is a long term relationship. It's like a marriage. If you don't really connect at a value level, I don't think it can last. I've seen a lot of my friends who have been founders get into huge clashes because value systems don't meet. So for me personally, that is the most important, and that's how I look at, or whether it's team members or investors or any other partner. For me, that is the absolute most important thing, that
I think
our values match.
it's been key for you because you have repeated this time and again, not just for your co-founders and investors, but for your team as well.
Yes, it is so important. I mean, you can have a completely different, there are many ways of getting to a particular place, right? Like it's there are so many roads that you can pick, but if you travel with the right people who share the same values, the same belief system, different ideologies, of course, you want that mix of
Yes,
diversity and ideas and all of that, but inherently the foundation, the ethics that you agree on, the integrity that you expect, the fact that you can trust them, I think those are important things for me.
I think they go a long way.
Yeah.
So yes, makes perfect sense. Rashi, how do you have mentors?
I don't actually, and I have missed having some at many points in my life, but I haven't seemed to find anyone who fits the role just yet. So whenever I'm feeling like I'm finding, I just turn to my dogs, and then they just help me feel whole again.
That's very
They
relatable.
give me all the answers I need.
Yes. You've spoken a lot about your inner voice and the gut,
Yes.
and you've also said that the voice of the gut is so mellow
Yeah.
that you have to really silent your mind to
Yeah.
listen to it. I want to know, do you have any personal practice or ritual that helps you follow your gut better?
Yes, and I would say that's my morning routine. I have to spend 30 minutes by myself.
Just 30.
At least 30. Right, just being by myself, that solitude is important to me.
Yes.
Right, the quiet, the stillness. That's when you can really listen to the inner voice.
Yes.
Always speak softly, and the rest of the day gets busy and noisy, and there is no time for the intuition to hear the intuition.
Yes.
So I think that just the morning quiet time, that really helps me center and sort of connect with myself and any other higher powers, and it really helps me run my day well.
Rashi, during the lockdown, I think a lot of us experienced burnout
Yes.
or something close to a burnout. Have you felt it?
Of course, many, many times.
Okay.
And there have been times when I just want to give up so badly, right? You just feel completely burnt out, and that's not a good place to be. And I think now I'm starting to understand the signs before I reach there versus being there and being like, okay, now that's it.
Right, right.
But I've also realized that all you actually need to do when you get there is to rest, is to just fill yourself up, because if you are constantly filling other people's lives or having to pour out your best self into so many things,
You have to fill your own
you
cup.
have to fill your own cup, absolutely. And yeah, you have to have rituals in place and routines in place so that you don't reach a place of burnout, because it can take a long time to recover from burnout.
Yes.
Yeah.
So a lot of entrepreneurs are confused whether they should pursue their masters, whether the education adds to the entrepreneurial journey.
Right.
You've been educated from one of the best universities in the world. How has that added value in your journey as an entrepreneur? Has it added value though?
I think that it does not. I mean, it's not that I'm applying the concepts that I learned, right? But I think that education teaches you the rigor of how to research, the discipline of sort of going deep into something and making an idea come alive from start to finish. It teaches you to be able to connect with lots of different people, to be open to lots of different ideas, right? And when I was studying, I had friends from all over the world, right? In one classroom, I had teachers from all over the world. I was studying so many different subjects that really open up your mind. And I think that all of those things is what you apply versus, the chapters that you learn. And sure, like, I did a little bit of marketing, or I did a little bit of accounts and all of that. And you take the basics into your business. But more than that, I think it's just the experience of it all that goes a much longer way than the actual content, at least for me.
Okay. Thank you for answering that.
No problem.
We're on to our rapid fire.
Okay.
So this is a little about you.
Right.
So I'm curious to know a few of your favorite books.
I love reading, and very hard for me to pick a few favorites, but for the podcast, I'd say Everyday Hero Manifesto by Robin Sharma.
Yes.
The Boy, the Mole, the Fox and the Horse. Beautiful book with illustrations and very simple messages. I love every page. 7 Spiritual Laws of Success, Deepak Chopra.
Okay.
Very, very nice also. Just
Okay.
taking you back to the source. And what else? The Power is Within You by Louise Hay. Also very nice. I think these are some of the ones that come top of mind.
Perfect. I think all these books are very healing. Also,
Yes,
they're a
they
bit
are.
spiritual,
They are.
motivational.
Yes. They
Fantastic.
push you outside of your normal thinking to know that there is actually
Yes.
so much more happening,
Yes.
right? And at a deeper level, and it is very fascinating actually.
Yes. When do you get the time to read?
Mornings.
So, the next question is reading a book versus meeting people.
Reading a book.
On a Saturday night, staying at home or heading out.
Oh, I am a full big introvert. Like, I just want to, be in my pajamas and have a book or watch a movie, have a low-key fun night. That's my idea of fun.
Okay. Can I dare to say you're a bit of a nerd?
Oh, of course.
Fantastic. So, one of the most inspiring quotes that you've recently read.
I actually read a lovely one a couple of days ago, and is it okay if I read it out to you?
Absolutely.
It says, "Be the person who still tries After failure, after frustration, after disappointment, after exhaustion, after heartache, be the person who musters up the courage to believe that a new attempt can manifest a new outcome. Be the person who still tries. And it's by Michelle Clark. And I just thought it's so powerful.
It's so powerful.
I loved it. So I saved it on my phone.
Wow, I think it's very inspiring.
It is. It is.
So, the first word
Yeah.
that you would think of when I say the following things.
Okay.
Color,
Vibrance,
mansplain,
patronizing,
women empowerment,
strength,
hard work,
perseverance,
integrity.
non-negotiable.
Wow, I think I got a lot out of this.
Awesome.
Just interviewing, just having this conversation, I think it's just given me so much. Thank you so much for sparing your time.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
My pleasure is all mine.
Awesome.